provide for all that we need here at the table of plenty. Oh, come and sit at my table, where saints and sinners are friends. I wait to welcome the lost and lonely, to share the cup of my love. Come to the feast of heaven and earth, come to the table of plenty. God will provide for all that we need here at the table of plenty.
Welcome to your cathedral. I'm Father Greg Sakowicz. Think about this. If money doesn't grow on trees, why do banks have branches? A guy says, last night I got so drunk, I walked across the dance floor to get another drink, and I won the dance contest. Thirdly, I'm one of those movies that tell a couple of jokes. A boss asked one of his employees, "Do you believe in life after death?" "Yes, sir, absolutely," responded the employee. "I thought you would," said the boss. "Yesterday afternoon, when you left to go to your brother's funeral, he stopped by to see you." Enough. I want to thank, first of all, in a very special way again, Mark Teresi, beautiful singing, week in and week out. Mark accompanied by the great work of David Jonas, our director of music. And David and Mark, you team up so well, so thank you for adding so much to this spiritual video. Thank you once again to Father Mark, producer Smolka, who produces the whole package of this video, spiritual reflection together. So to Father Mark Smolka, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Let me begin with a walk down history. December 7th, 1941, the attack on Pearl Harbor. November 22nd, 1963, President John F. Kennedy assassinated. April 7th, 1968, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. assassinated. September 11th, 2001, the World Trade Center destroyed, 4 planes became missiles, and part of the Pentagon destroyed, and thousands of innocent people died. Can't believe it's 19 years ago, about now. Franciscan priest Father Michael Judge was killed in the lobby of the World Trade Center, Tower 1, administering the sacrament of the sick to those who were injured and dying. Father Judge died, and he was struck by falling debris. All these dates I've mentioned, we either remember in person or read about them in history books. Now, as a young priest, Father Michael was asked about his vocation and the life he lived as a Franciscan friar and priest. And he said this, "The life I have is not what I would have planned on. You just don't know. You just go and take one day at a time. I don't get into tomorrow because God hasn't created it yet." I like that. I don't get into tomorrow because God hasn't created it yet. So I live in today as best I can for the glory of God and his people. And now Father Michael Judge is one of the saints in heaven. Our theme today, the readings of the scripture, 24th Sunday of Ordinary Time, forgiveness, forgiveness, forgiveness. A school teacher was discussing the 10 Commandments with her second graders. After explaining the commandments, one of them, honor thy father and mother, the teacher asked, is there a commandment that teaches us how to treat our sisters and brothers at home? Without missing a beat, a little second grade boy answered, yeah, thou shalt not kill. Along those same lines, When I was about 10 years old, I got very angry with my brother Adrian, who was aged 5 at the time. He colored some of my baseball cards and put mustaches on others. I was so angry that I would not forgive my brother Adrian. Remember, I'm 10, he's about 5. After a complete day of pouting and not talking to my brother Adrian, my mother finally said to me the next day, she said, "Greg, please forgive him. He's only 5 years old. And quit getting in your own way." Quit getting in your own way. I always remember that line. We listen in today's first reading from Sirach. Wrath and anger are hateful things, yet the sinner hugs them tight. Forgive your neighbor's injustice. Then when you pray, your own sins will be forgiven. In his great book, Tuesdays with Morrie, by Mitch Albom, came out some years ago, a book I would highly recommend reading for everyone. The author, Mitch Albom, interviews his retired and dying college professor, Morrie Schwartz, on what proved to be Morrie's last 14 Tuesdays on Earth. And amid tears and laughter, they shared their life experiences on such topics as love, work, marriage, community, and aging. On their 12th Tuesday together, the young Mitch Albom and his dying friend, Morrie Schwartz, talked about forgiveness. And Morrie Schwartz said this: "Forgive yourself before you die, then forgive others." Then he cried as he told how he had a falling out with a friend many, many years ago. His voice choked with regret over the fact that the friend died before they were reconciled to each other. Admitting the fault to be his own because of pride and stubbornness, Schwartz repeated what became a mantra for him for the rest of his life after that: forgive yourself, forgive others. Forgive yourself, forgive others. Then he added, "Mitch, don't wait. Not everyone gets the time I'm getting. Not everyone is as lucky to talk about it now." The closer Schwartz grew to death and to God, the more like God he became in his capacity to love, understand, and to forgive others. Morrie Schwartz died on the Saturday morning, not long after that conversation with Mitch. Peter asks in our gospel this weekend, "Lord, when someone wrongs me, how many times must I forgive them? 7 times? No," Jesus said, "not 7 times, but 77 times. What Jesus is saying is, forgive always. Forgive always. And please know, forgiveness never comes from the head. It comes from the heart. It sounds easy, very difficult. Now, what is forgiveness? Forgiveness is a decision. Forgiveness is showing mercy even when the injury has been deliberate. Forgiving or forgiveness is accepting the person as he or she is. Forgiveness is always taking a risk. Forgiveness is accepting an apology. Forgiveness is a way of living. And forgiveness is choosing to love. It's so easy to hold on to anger and hatred. It's tough to forgive and to let something go. Many times I tell people, let it go, let it go. And St. Paul says to the Romans and to all of us, none of us lives as his own master. None of us dies as his own master. While we live, we are responsible to the Lord. And when we die as his servants. Yet the difficulties in forgiving are so self-evident. We're fragile, we bruise easily, and forgiveness requires an act of self-confidence. We can't really forgive until we no longer feel threatened. And forgiveness means we have to let go, or the anger owns us. And then we become what we hate. I've said this many times, beautiful line from Cardinal Supich. Forgiving doesn't change the past. It changes the future. Profound words. Please listen carefully to what I'm about to say. The reason many people can't forgive is that they can't forgive God. God forgives us every day. But in a way, I have to forgive God for the things that happen in my life, city, country, world. Those tragedies where you can't make sense out of the senseless. So instead of only saying, oh God, forgive me, maybe we sometimes have to say, God, I forgive you. Many times, life is unfair. Admit it. At times, we need to forgive God, ourselves, others, as well as ask God's forgiveness. And every time we say, God, I'm sorry, God says, let it go. I forgive you. Here's something interesting. We human beings cling to the past. God never clings to the past. We human beings, we cling to the past. God never clings to the past. We sometimes can't let it go. We hold on to bitterness, hatred, anger. Look what he did, look what she did. But God says, let it go. And God never clings to the past. And God says, get on with life, let it go. Ultimately, forgiving is a way to stop hurting. And maybe we should take my mother's advice to me many, many years ago when I was 10. Greg, quit getting in your own way. For forgiving is a process, and forgiveness is a decision. May God bless all of you. Stay safe and healthy.
My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the sweet though far off hymn that hails a new creation. No storm can shake